What's up, Bears fans? I'm Bearlissimo, and as you can see on the screen in front of you, I've got some tape for you to look at. And we're going to start off. This is going to be probably a little bit longer video. We're looking at the offensive line particularly, but to give you some context, what we're doing today is we're going to look at what was bad, what was ugly, and what was good about the offensive line and the position that they were put in. That's the context I want to add. The position that they were put in by Getsy and the plays called and the offense schemed. With that, let's get to it. So starting with the bad, the first thing I will point out is that this is a formation you're going to see a lot, 11 personnel as you can see, one back, one tight end. What you see an awful lot in this video is that you're going to see a tight end detached from the formation. You're going to see it in shotgun, half back to one side, and then what I also want you to pay attention to is the number of players that Green Bay brings into the box, and then the other thing is, where are they aligning their people in terms of what type of pressure are they trying to bring. That's what you want to be looking at as an offense. The problem is when you're in shotgun is all of these dudes can kind of look in at where the ball is. They can see exactly whether whether you're running some sort of play action, whether you're going to run the ball. Everything is in front of them, so it's a lot easier. So with that, we're getting into it, and what we're specifically looking at, because I'm sure you'll have heard people saying Nate Davis is an absolute bum. He's down there behind Kyle Kmet. So there's Nate Davis. Let's just single him out. Darnell Wright are the two that I really want to focus on, because obviously if you're a coach, you're thinking about, okay, what's my personnel? Well, I know in the preseason this guy was playing centre, this guy was playing guard. Tevin Jenkins' injury put pay to that, so that's why they are where they are. This dude wasn't really seen at all in the preseason, and this guy had limited snaps because of an injury late on in the preseason, missed the last preseason game. So with that, you think about the context of what help you're going to give them, how you're going to call plays, what you're going to do to get the offense going early. So we're starting with bad, so obviously it's not a good start to look at. So again, look at where your overload kind of looks in terms of pressures. It's all fairly obvious stuff anyway, so we'll get into it and we'll see what the blocking looks like with these dudes up front. Rolling into it. So you can see we've got 3-on-3 to the right. So it's difficult. I'm not going to say this is not difficult for Lucas Patrick, because it's a two. It's a two technique with like an eye kind of eyes. Inside shade eyes. He's big on big, his head up, so you can see his ass is lined up with that guy's ass. We've got outside shade here. We've got an inside mug and with a linebacker, and then obviously Preston Smith like a wide 9. So I'm not going to say it's not going to be difficult for Lucas Patrick there to get the ball somewhere better for a right-handed quarterback than a full body width to the left when he's got to go and then move to the right. What tends to happen is when a centre has to move to the right, they tend to snap the ball left. But the problem is that Lucas Patrick isn't even attempting to get a hand on here. What it is a screen, or an attempted screen, where everyone, bearing in mind that we've got 1-2 defensive tackles inside of tackle and an edge rusher that have got very short paths to the quarterback even on the screen. That's why this is very difficult to sort of for Fields. I mean, Kenny Clark, he kind of sees the running back going over there, luckily for us, and he's like, well, okay, maybe I need to pursue down there. It's not the case, but at the end of the day, that's what he does. Nate Davis sells the old rope-a-dope. So this is like the old guy. In fact, he does actually trip slightly. That's why he goes to the floor, but then he gets up very quickly, and they're trying to. I say trying to. I mean, it's pretty abysmal to lose that quickly, that far inside. How Justin Fields doesn't get smashed by Kenny Clark here is just the fact that he's running thinking that's a screen to Roshan to the left. So that's the reason why he didn't get absolutely smashed by Kenny Clark. Ball's tipped, ends up going there. Kmet doesn't really get much of a block on there, and the ball's behind him and it's on the ground, so it's not a great start, but we are in the bad. It will get better, I promise you. In a similar theme, so again, what I said earlier, we're in shotgun still, we still have a half-back. 11 personnel, tight end is somewhere else off the screen. That's how far detached. So we get a motion. It's Donta Foreman, he's going in motion, Deonta Foreman, or however you want to say it. So it's a one-tech Kenny Clark inside. And again, in terms of looking at this from a protection standpoint, you're looking at your potential threats. So with that, better location on the snap on this one. In fact, one of the very few snaps that actually went to Fields' hands right into his body, right in front of his face, which is exactly where you want it. They are bringing 3-on-3, so it is 3-on-3 pressure, but you can quite clearly see by the angle, the defensive, the what would normally be a 5-tech defensive end, obviously 3-4 is what they tend to play. If he's coming upfield like that, you've got to expect, it's absolutely nailed on, that you're going to get some sort of game, going like this. So you've got to expect a roll of protection. The thing is, Green Bay did this a lot. What they're doing is leaving these two guys singled on their men. So, how does Nate Davis do? Well, to be honest, that's pretty good up to that point. But you see him, he gets a hand on the shoulder. And this is the point where you need to start resetting with your feet, because you're going to lose that hand punch initially. And they get between guard and tackle because of the spacing. So it's a wide set by Darnell Wright, probably too wide if I'm being honest. You don't need to chase out that far. You probably need to come to here and then start thinking about bounding back. You don't need to necessarily come out there, because then you might need to come back in. You might need to sort of orbit back in. That's a bad place to be. It happened far too often in this game that we saw these two get detached when they were left singled. So that's what I'm saying about the bad. In terms of the left, we're actually picking up things pretty well there. That's a decent job, I've got to say, by Lucas Patrick, anchoring, resetting his feet, keeping working, fighting, staying in the fight. Pretty good job there. Decent start, but, again, work your feet, don't get heel clicky, don't get narrow. At least when you then go there, then turn. But it's just a bubble anyway. So again, in terms of... it's shotgun. Everyone can see it. You're fooling nobody by sending the motion late and throwing it out there, particularly when you don't block people on the outside. And again, that's what it turns into. It's a pretty solid lick. We'll start going through these a little bit quicker. At the moment, you can see the tight end is like a wing. So again, technically detached from the formation because he's off the line of scrimmage. Again, at the moment, we've got the halfback to the left. And just to remind you again, so what you're seeing is you're watching the strengths, an orbit motion. So an orbit motion means going past centre and returning. And the whole point of that is to see what these two guys are doing and what happens to the strength in terms of the alignment of the defence. What that tells us is they swap, they exchange. So that sort of suggests half-field zone, whereas we had one safety rolled up and one safety bailing. When he returns, you'll see this safety now rolls back and this safety starts to roll down. So you're probably going to get some sort of shell half-field match. Probably cover 3 is what you're looking at. Okay, so we're talking about the protection up front, so let's look at that, see what we get. And again, just for those that want to nerd along with me, look at your strengths, look at where the pressure is, and that's where we want to go to. So we'll clear that off. So again, Kenny Clark, very, very good defensive lineman. Clearly going from outside sort of 2-eye stroke 1-tech, 3 really there. It's going from there to the opposite side, the oppo side of the centre. You don't want to chase him. don't want to him. So you put a hand on, but you really want to be retreating. Don't want to be attacking, because we're not, although we've got like a play action type look, we're not actually really play action. No one else is selling play action. What the fuck this is, pardon my language, I've got no idea. I mean, trying to sell a lead on everything, something that they can quite clearly, everyone's got good eyes on. And we've got an extra man coming down to the box. So there's 3, there's 4. We're 7 against 5/6 if we do run the ball. And they can see it coming. So we clearly, why are you sending him up there if he's coming across the face of the QB to take the ball? That makes no sense. If you were sending him there maybe, to return or whatever you're going to do, fine. But this, I do not understand. So when we're talking about bad, it isn't always just the offensive line that's bad, because they've been put in bad situations. Holding up pretty well against Kenny Clark, but the gap is now reduced. Tonyan can now not get through this gap, whereas again, if it's over here, he's probably got a bit more room. We've had an inside move here by Preston Smith. Darnell Wright is handling pretty well, but the problem is, like I say, when you get caught chasing somebody across like that and you don't get any depth, it's much more difficult then to turn and help out your rookie, who's dealing with someone with an inside move with a potential outside threat as well. It's a lot for him to try and deal with. Now Donta Foreman can help with that. He can help with that, but he doesn't. He's clearing out, and you know, we're now getting inside pressure working towards Fields. Fields has to step up, move away from that. Decent job by Patrick here to keep the man going across, The only problem is now is Jones is getting beaten to the inside, making it again more difficult for Fields. You can see at the moment he doesn't really have anything on. He's already had to step up. Now he's having to avoid this pressure by coming out to the left. So, yeah, technically we've got someone coming open there. We've got to check down over here. But he's having to go so far. And we're within, what, you know, from the snap. Snap is at 11:02. The play action is at so 1.6 seconds. And now he's having to move. We're at 2 seconds. And he's already having to move, fake, juke up. And now it's in run mode. So what you want to see is now the big boys sort of chase it downfield, look for somebody to hit, or you know, in case that Fields goes over this way and he turns back this way, that we're at least pursuing down, so we can then start doing this. Let's see if we get that. You know, Lucas Patrick fair. You know, good effort done. All right. This isn't so good, and we've got Litter here as well. So again, thinking about context, context is we're pretty close to our own end zone. These are quite clearly the goalposts. That looks like a pretty thick, slightly thicker line, which would suggest goal line. So again, being in gun, again 11 personnel, but we're detached on a tight end, and we've also emptied the backfield. Clearly no threat of run. You're making things difficult. Again, what they're showing is like, you know, we're off to the races. So let's see what we get this time. So we do get a check by, you know, in terms of release. We get Cole Komet with a chip. We've got 2-on-1 here. Lucas Patrick is looking to left. We've got 2-on-1 here. Roshan Johnson doing a decent job so far. As we roll into the play, we get Crow Hop again. And as he starts to get into the body, here, really, I want to see Darnell just give him a impetus. So whilst you got a hand on, that's fine. But if you turn and take a step towards him and knock him that way, it then becomes a much easier win for Nate Davis, your guard. But because he doesn't, and it's just a hand on, once he's got that power position there and he's slipping, you see his foot give. And it makes it look worse than it is. And then he tries to trip him, which is, you know, not within the rules, but he tries to trip him. Gets away with it, but you know, not getting away with it in terms of Justin Fields. I mean, this looks dead and buried. Dropping your head here is not a good look for Darnell Wright in terms of trying to get into him. I understand why. It's because he's late into it and he's just trying to get his body in. Does get his head back up and then try and sort of like, okay, I'm going to get into drive, push him this way. The rest of the line is actually doing kind of okay, except Lucas Patrick gets caught with a blatant hold because it's just a rip. You watch him drop his head there, rip over, he's done. And the problem is, if you watch, his feet are absolutely dead, and that's why you get into trouble. There, Braxton Jones anchors pretty well against what turns into, you know, a bull rush at the end of the day off a stunt. Justin, how the hell he got out of that is just miracle work to then get downfield. At least we're seeing some offensive linemen sort of chase, but we don't want to see Justin take hits like this, you know, to his hip. But you know, hero ball again by Justin Fields after being put in a really difficult position, to be fair. We started off, you know, 7 with in terms of chips, 7 on 4. So we do, I mean, we can take this, but it's 3rd and long at the end of the day. What he's trying to do is get an isolation like a conflict defender down here. We never get to that because, you know, protection doesn't hold up because we lose our footing, we don't step inside, we drop our head and we lose a swim move. But not great when it's 5 offensive linemen. 4th drive of the game. One of the rare sights of the game is that we're under centre and we've got 2 tight ends on the field and a half-back in the backfield. This is very rare in this game, but again, in terms of making things easier for a defence, we're then bringing extra numbers into the box by having both wide receivers within 5 yards of the tackle. Let's see what we get on the play. Motion. So you can see it's jet motion. You can see the speed he's running at. Jet motion, and we're very close to the back of the offensive line. We're very close to the back of the offensive line. The problem is when you're running fast and you've got guys that might be moving backwards potentially if they lose the block, or if we're running, hopefully they're going to be going forward. But jet motion, and it's why this is a toss. I cannot fathom why that is a pitch, because again you're showing the defence that Justin Fields is now not part of the play. In terms of the blocking, we've got a one tech who's already in the gap. Lucas Patrick doesn't move his right foot. If you watch, well, in fact, he kind of half moves his right foot, but he's lost so quickly there. And the whole point is that Kari Blasingame apparently is going to come and help, but I assume with this dude, that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to come here and wham. Now the problem is that's going to be over real quick, and it is, because we're sandwiching. Nate Davis has a stunt right into the gap, so you've got the rookie coming in here. They're actually running that. Yeah, and it's an easy win for the nose tackle. He gets in straight away, and then rather than taking nearest threat, which is that, we're just looking at what was drawn on the play, which is to get down to middle linebacker. And again, we've got people on the backside, so you've got no cutback really here to speak of. Herbert sort of takes it, goes inside, and at this point, because we've managed to sort of wall off, although that's quite clearly a hold by Lucas Patrick. I mean, the only thing Lucas Patrick isn't doing here is checking him through his phone and any cash. It's that much of a mugging. But, Khalil Herbert does a decent job, getting his pads square to line of scrimmage and just getting what he can. But how Lucas Patrick got away with the hold. No wonder that 93 is looking back at the referee. Did you not see that? He literally took my kidneys and sold them on the black market in China. Don't worry. Being under centre was only a passing fad. We're back in shotgun with a detached tight end yet again. Let's get into it, see what we get on this. Don't forget, we're still in the bad part. So we've quite clearly got like a gap bluff, and we've got again this sort of the wide speed rush, if you will, type rush. Doubled here, so we're looking pretty good. Doubled here, so we're looking pretty good. Tight end left on Preston Smith, maybe not so good. But again, the problem is when we step to the line of scrimmage, I've got no problem attacking the line of scrimmage being the first step, but then you've got to reset and get depth, and we don't. We don't reset and get depth, and then look at the space we're left here with the tackle who's been told, quite clearly told, every time, wide set against this dude, he's going to try and beat you around the edge. And he does what he's told, he wide sets, gets that position, then it's, oh shit, he's going back inside, and where's my guard help? My guard help is 3 meters or 3.5 yards away. Well, I say 3.5, that's probably 2, isn't it? 2.5 maybe. We'll call that 2.5 yards away, but still way further away than you really want it to be. And then when you add on top of that, we're just getting a hezzy move, and that's the whole point of this, is tie these two up, inside move there, loop round the back. That's the game that they're running, and it comes off absolutely perfect for them. I mean, the stunt man, which is Rashawn Gary, actually gets through, which is, at least we managed to get him onto the deck. Justin's able to adjust and get past. And then what we want to be doing now is like bow, and then we want to be getting into, block somebody, get downfield. And again, I think everyone knows, this point, it was just, Justin isn't really carrying a loaf of bread there, but equally just doesn't see 95 coming from the other side. And hand on the ball, he's got probably getting on for £600 of defensive lineman on his back. The ball is going to pop out. So whilst you can quote ball security, if it's a design run, fair enough. But when you're gonna have this, it's not great, Bob. It's much later in the game. It's still shotgun. It's still slightly detached in terms of gap. That's not an ordinary gap. Wide out, and you've got a 1 and a 3 and 2 wide guys, so they're in nickel. Lucas Patrick gets absolutely whipped like a drum here. I mean, absolutely beaten. Nate Davis is trying to get downhill and then help out Dino Wright, which he does a better job this time of the gap integrity. We're not wide setting. We're not wide setting this time. We're waiting. We're closing up that gap. So that's an adjustment like later in the second half. And this is a good block here. This double here for Roshan Johnson to get through. That's a good double. But Lucas Patrick just... Why he's taking such an angle there when it's literally right in front of him? You don't need to. Just attack this half with this half of your body. That's what you want to be doing. You want to be staying square. You certainly don't want to drop your head onto his shoulder, get completely off balance, cross over your feet like that. I mean, this is not a good look for an offensive lineman. That's not great. Cody's trying to get down. We've got inside position Braxton Jones. Fine. I'm okay with this. That's okay. Getting onto this double, that works a lot better. So this side of it's okay. But Lucas Patrick gets absolutely whipped because he gets off balance. And that also trips up Cody Whitehair because he's swinging off the back of Slayton, is it? I think the defensive tackle, 93. Roshan, bless him. You know, I've got a defensive tackle right in my face. Straight off the snap. My two blockers are on the floor. I've now got three guys in front of me. It's just secure the ball time. Much later into the game, obviously, it's obvious passing situation at this point, so we're not going to fool anybody, but are we still going to have some trickeration? Yeah, we are. So we see here, I mean, that looks like match because he's actually going out with him as he's moving, and that's why you would say it's match, is because as he goes, if he wasn't following him sort of step for step there, you would say it's not going to be match, it's going to be some sort of zone, but quite clearly some sort of cover through with the shell underneath the way we've got this movement here. In terms of protection, much better on the pinch here. Nate Davis going forward. We don't want to be going forward off the line of scrimmage. By all means, forward impetus to stop the momentum, but you don't want to be going forward because at the end of the day, if this is a stunt, which it is, it's just a twist. So it's just a twist. That's the whole point, you know. First man, second man. So, you know, horse, cart, if you want. That's the way you would call it. But the guard actually helps that stunt. Cody Whitehair does a good job coming off. But we're all out of position here. That's not great. Darnell Wright 101 Preston Smith. Okay, he's absolutely got him in his bag there. Justin, what he does here, I've honestly got no idea. Because that's where you bail if you're going anywhere. Any kind of panics is the only thing I can suggest. Because that gap comes through the middle as Cody comes off. Lucas Patrick giving up momentum. Nate Davis all out of position, and he just runs into the sack. So, you know, the game's dead and buried at this point. So again, you know, gun, tight end detached. This is going to be a real problem if we can't handle twists between guard and centre, so guard to centre, these three. If we can't handle basic twists, which is what that is, with 4-man, Todd Bowles is going to absolutely have a field day with this offensive line. So quite clearly, first man, second man. Again, we get a hand on, but then we're looking to the right with Nate Davis. I mean, knowing that there might be a stunt here, this is not good. And again, we can scream at this dude all we want, but if we're not seeing this and he hasn't played in the pre-season and you can't deal with a twist like that without giving up instant pressure and Lucas Patrick yet again a hold, it's a real problem. You know, you're asking Justin Fields to make a catchable throw. He throws it a little bit high, a little bit behind, but you know, it's a hospital ball at the end of the day. But what options does he have at this point? That protection just can't happen. Quite possibly the worst of the bad plays. We're in gun. Tight end is detached yet again. We get an orbit motion. So again, talking about orbit motions, quite clearly you see that's man. So with that being man, we know that that would be man. And if we're not sending him out of the backfield, that well, in fact, it's not even. That's zone. I mean, the inside is zone. So you think it's man, inside is zone, I think the tell is this guy over here to the screen. I think that's what the tell is. But anyway, in terms of protection up front, inside move. Okay, let's see how we deal with this. Nate Davis this time gets into the chest. So actually good pass protection by Nate Davis. Again, Darnell Wright inside move. So it's Hezzy move inside. So sprints upfield, make him chase you and then come back inside. Darnell Wright clearly learning on the job. Much, much better, and actually manages to come off and take that twist, which it turns into. So actually really good job by Nate Davis, apart from that bit there. Again, just because he hasn't really given up enough ground. At that point, Darnell Wright doing a fantastic job. But at the end of the day, this protection initially up front is pretty good. Good enough anyway at any point. That's quite clearly, again, another mugging and a sale of kidneys or organs on the black market. But just in knowing that we've got two linebackers that have just bailed to spots on the field, we have nothing underneath to take their attention. We should know really that we're throwing this between two linebackers, and trying to thread that ball in is just a brain fart, is the only thing I can say. But the problem now, Lucas Patrick sees it's an interception, and Darnell Wright sees it's an interception, but so does everyone else at the end of the day, the other three. Cole Kmet here. This is just a lack of effort. I mean, at the end of the day, I can understand why Lucas Patrick can't keep up with Quay Walker. That I can understand. I can understand here, we're trying to get depth, we're trying to get width, we're trying to force him back inside, fine. Roshan Johnson, just do what you do on special teams, and you've got to wrap and run your feet, dude. But he tries to hit. It's a heavier man at the end of the day. Stops him. Again, you can't really ask oil tankers to turn on a sixpence, so I'm not going to give that a problem. But this is so half-arsed, it's ridiculous. I mean, that's pathetic. And bear in mind that, you know, Roshan at this point here is on the deck. He and Darnell Wright are going to be the two that come closest to making a tackle on this. That's absolutely abysmal. Justin tries to go inside. Walker's gone outside, tries to catch him there. Never going to. Look at the effort here and here. Look at the effort. The two rookies. And this is a really solid lick as well. Darnell Wright is literally trying to make him leave his soul. It's only because Roshan's actually on his back. It doesn't keep him at the end zone. That's a really solid lick. But, you know, fantastic effort by Roshan Johnson to try and, you know, not only chase it down, but look at him try and punch it there. Try and punch the ball out. And Darnell Wright with a really solid lick right on the goal line. Fantastic effort from them in what was an otherwise absolutely abysmal play. That really killed us off. So this is the last of the bad, and then we're going to get into the ugly. The reason why I'm showing this is because this is one of the actual bad snaps that we did see from Nate Davis. He's got like a hezzy move, so you see him looking over this way, and he kind of buys it. He's not really coming off the line of scrimmage with any impetus there, and he just swims back to the outside. Drops his head. You just got to post step back to with your left foot there and not drop your head. Get back. Apart from that, though, you know, Darnell Wright doing his best to hold up there with his body. Justin needs to just basically drift at this point. And he a little bit late on that. Darnell's doing his absolute best. Nate Davis got beat to the inside. That's it's as simple as that. He bought what he sold with his eyes, and that was it. And then Justin goes off and actually gets a first down, believe it or not. But nevertheless, that's the last of the bad. We're getting into the ugly. So why is this ugly, Bearlissimo? I hear you say. Well, yeah, I'm going to explain it to you, don't worry. I mean, the reason why is because why it's ugly is because we've got Claypool and Mooney, whereas we've got Kmet here. What sort of trickeration this is I can only assume out of Matt Nagy's Denny menu that was left over, and someone thought, oh, that looks like a good play. We send the tight end in motion. And why is we sending the tight end in motion? It's that play. Yes, we rather than run with Khalil Herbert, rather than maybe have Cole Kmet run up as a lead blocker. No, we're gonna baffle them with the old tight end sneak. And look at everybody, 1, 2, 3, 4, all over this, because the next going to be sneaking. Kenny Clark here, by the way. Yep, so Kenny Clark, that Kenny Clark. And they've got a running start onto this as well, into the gap. You're asking Lucas Patrick, not your strongest lineman. Cody Whitehair, not your strongest lineman. Whereas you've got Darnell Wright and Nate Davis, who really can get some run blocking, which we'll see later. We're not going to go for that. We're just going to... A tight end that doesn't normally take snaps under centre, taking a snap under centre that he then drops and then has to pick up. And yeah, that's why we're in the ugly. Still in the ugly, still in shotgun, still with a detached tight end. Again, in terms of numbers, do your math in terms of your boxes of what you've got in terms of potential pressure. Again, not only we're setting motion, we're quite clearly early. We're quite clearly early here. I've got no issue here with Nate Davis. That's actually a decent block to start off with here. Darnell Wright on left, singled on the outside here. Are we hoping that Cole Kmet is going to lead this up? Because, Nate Davis has got that there, but it's a really good position that he's got into. And we're trying to run forward. We're trying to get gap this way. There's no cutback here. There's no, well, maybe there's a cutback there, but it's crashing down. If this was a pull, if ever it was going to be a pull on an RPO, that would be it. Absolutely crashing down. Pull the ball and go. But it's not. It's just a straight give. And once you get this sort of thing happen, I mean, that's just as ugly as it gets up front in terms of blocking. And we're kind of... While we're in gun to run a late motion from a tight end, and then, we're not even getting vertical. We're just going lateral. Everything's lateral. I cannot fathom this as a good idea. It just makes no sense. More ugly, more shotgun, more tight end detached. It's our favourite game show, and we saw an awful lot of it on Sunday. So again, we've just seen a late tight end motion, and using him as a lead blocker when we got a pull. This time, what we're actually going to do now is he's not even going to be a lead blocker. We're going to send him half a micro yard from behind. The whole point is that Darnell Mooney has a crack here. What I think is supposed to happen, we're supposed to get a crack here, and we're trying to pull to get a block here on this guy, and then we've got Chase Claypool somewhere over here, who I think from design is supposed to get the defensive back. So offensive lineman on this guy here, fine, I understand that. Wide receiver on that, I understand that. But that's not what happens. So what we get is, this is why it's ugly. Cole Kmet, as Wright is trying to pull and clear this defensive end, as Darnell Mooney is trying to get a crack. Cole Kmet runs into the back of, and you can quite clearly see Darnell Wright. He's running to the back of him, so he's trying to pull round that at the end of the day and get a kick out there and then there. And then we're looking actually all right in terms of design if we can clear our own offensive tackle, and then if we don't brain fart completely and decide we're not going to block our man, we're going to block somebody else because I don't know. And then Foreman at this point does need to cut up there. So Foreman does need to cut up there. You just put your foot in the ground and go. And he keeps pushing it wide. Takes another 3-4 steps. Offensive lineman rolling towards his feet. Doesn't cut back. He's got at least 2 or 3 steps where he could cut back here and have... At this point then, that play looks pretty good. If we get that, if we get this, if we get Claypool going up to this, we've then got 1, 2, 3 offensive linemen in really good position. So I don't hate the design, but the execution, Claypool just really stuffs it, as well as Kmet. Kmet running into the back of that, that's a real problem to start with. Darnell Mooney, bless him, giving away about 80, 90 pounds, does a good job there on the end of the line. Foreman needs to cut up at that point. Roshan Johnson sure as hell would. Doesn't press his wider and wider and wider. Why are you pressing wider? I mean, look at this. If you cut back here, it's off to the races. But on a play that we are, let's see when the ball snaps. So it snapped at 3.3 seconds. We're at the pitch here. The point where we should cut back is here. Really, as soon as he catches it there. 3.3, 1.6 seconds, and we've already had 3 errors. So otherwise, like I say, you know, that you like the look of, and this you don't. Don't worry, we're still in ugly, but we've got a rare occurrence. We've got an inline tight end, but we're still in shotgun. So again, shotgun when we are 4 yards from the end zone, and we've got everybody inside the tackles in terms of defensive linemen. Let's see what we get in terms of play. So first of all, we're going to run Mooney all the way across the motion, which quite clearly shows that we're in zone. Okay, so let's see what we get here up front. So it's obviously it's zone left. Look. On the backside, he's athletic. He doesn't have much pass rush stuff, but if we give this, we've got a one-on-one against the linebacker, and you know we're doing all right up front here in terms of that. If this is a give, but I can only assume this is never even intended because the back doesn't really sell it. He's not expecting the ball at all, and Fields doesn't even really sort of sell it either. It's some sort of design boot, and what the design boot is, I've got no idea, because Claypool's going like a whip, running like a whip route. What Komet is doing, I don't know. I mean, he's blocking at that point. And then what's the other option we've got here? Well, Darnell Mooney bracketed within half a yard of the end zone. And then at this point, just throw it into the stands, Justin. Yeah, that's pretty ugly. We're just over halfway through the ugly. We have, again, not inline tight end. Again, it's shotgun. Again, do your math in terms of, you know, what you've got in the box. Let's see what we get. We get a motion again, which tells us just that it's zone, which they ran 90% of the day anyway. And we've got the good old crack zone left kind of look, out of gun with the halfback, where everyone can see. You know, everyone's got eyes on. Everyone's turned in towards the QB. Everyone can see it. We've got a safety rolling down into the box as well, just to have extra numbers. And again, why Nate Davis leaves a head-up defender for Darnell Wright to try and get across and in front of, I don't know, but he does. And then he goes in and smashes the guy that's on the centre when he doesn't really need to. And then all of a sudden we're in... Bear in mind it looks like Justin's supposed to be going this way. We're in all kinds of mess. I mean, this is a whole world of ugly. And I think this is supposed to be a screen to Cole Kmet. That's what I think the design is. I think this is supposed to be a screen to Cole Kmet because we get 3 guys going this way. But Cole Kmet's here. And... you know, again, Justin Fields, whatever you want to say about Justin Fields, can he see downfield, can he throw a ball, blah, blah, blah. It's called as a screen quite clearly. Yeah, I mean, does he have Darnell Mooney coming over at this point? Yeah, but he's having to run for his life. Now, at this point, if he can clear him and then turn his hips and throw it and drop it short here, maybe, if he doesn't put too much, you know, lead in the pencil on that one, it's a chance for Darnell to make it. But Darnell Mooney's not even looking for it. But at the end of the day, Justin Fields is very nearly, wisely steps out of bounds because he's been smashed a few times unnecessarily. He steps out of bounds just trying to get as close to a first down as possible in what he looked like, just, you know, at this point, completely dead and buried. But Justin Fields does Justin Fields things. But that is goddamn ugly, and we got some litter on the play as well at the end. For a hold, let's see if that was a hold. I mean, bear in mind, you know, the Packers never get called for holding. Was it a hold? Let's see. I mean, he's in blocking there. He's blocking there, and yeah, the guy tries to get off him, but he can't see that. Is he holding him back? He's not. He's going with the motion. He's going onto him. So, why that's a hold? I've got no idea. But anyway, refs, am I right? Don't worry. Only a few more uglies, and then we'll all be through it, Bears fans, and we can get on to the good stuff. We're clearly very, very late down with the ball, which hopefully would work in our favour, but we're in gun. Quite clearly selling the block downfield. I mean, we're already downfield, and it's a give. But is it, or is it a pull? And it's just Lucas Patrick here. You got a one tech, and then how you overstep in half a yard and get beaten this badly without getting anything on him is beyond me. But that's you know, I'm okay with that there. Darnell Rock gets. I mean, everyone's blitzing as well. You got defensive back off the edge blitzing. If you're going to run the ball, just get under centre and have the halfback behind you and make life easier for yourself. This is just abysmal. It's just ugly. And we're right near our own goal line. It's just poorly executed, but an absolute daft play call. Last couple of uglies, then we're into the positive stuff. So if you made it this far, you know, thank you for not committing harikiri or getting into a bottle of tequila and losing your soul. But again, my concern is Tampa Bay are going to do this sort of stuff all day. So we got 3-on-3, but it's actually a loop stunt. So Lucas Patrick, if he's not able to hold up better than this when taking contact, and if we're not able to then get off better than that, and we're not able to sell on the edge better than this, we're going to find it very difficult to go out of gun and then take a 5-step drop and have any success in the pass game. Out of gun, 5-step drop to hit check downs because they're in zone. And if you don't think Tampa Bay are going to see this and be licking their lips and laughing, then I'm not sure what to tell you, Luke Getsy. But that's just ugly as hell. It's the last of the uglies. What I like about this, we're actually under centre and we have an inline tight end, and you know, numbers are not too bad in terms of our favour. What I don't like about this is that despite the fact we haven't really run the ball out of this formation, we haven't really run the ball from under centre, we're now going to use this as a boot action naked, and we're going to completely leave 2 players on the backside. Bearing in mind, Kari Blasingame is somewhere off screen to the left and has responsibility for getting Preston. To expect that naked to have any success, and to have Justin at this point turn round and see him coming straight to the spot, because that's what teams are doing now. And we've got, you know, 4 on this side on this naked boot. And what routes do we actually have coming over? Do we have anything crossing the field? Just again, that's ugly. Congratulations, Bears fans, you've made it through the bad and the ugly, and we're now into the good. Yes, there was some good from Sunday's game that we can take away, certainly in terms of the offensive line, and maybe even, you know, actually getting somebody under centre and having a tight end. Yes, off the line of scrimmage, but at least attached to the formation. Let's see why this is good. I think it might have even been like the second play of the game. Again, we've still got motion, which isn't really helping us because it's bringing people into the box. So if we're going to run motion, if you're going to run it for it to be motion, then maybe run it beforehand. But at the end of the day, in terms of that 3-tech Lucas Patrick's trying to get across to, but if Nate Davis doesn't get on Kenny Clark, by the way, a really good shock there, this isn't going to work. Again, decent block here. Again, Cody Whitehair one-on-one. Leave that, get down to second level. So far, pretty good. And it's just a straight handoff. Crack here on the backside. Get that there. Get moving up here. I mean, Nate Davis on Kenny Clark singled to actually get any kind of movement and then stay play side and then have a nice strong arm there. That's really good stuff. Darnell sort of gets a little bit sort of head over feet ahead of his skis there, but at the end of the day it's just a position block and he's never going to get to that. So Khalil Herbert is able to cut back. I mean, at the end of the day, just at that point, just go head down. But the blocking up front to that point wasn't too bad. Cole Kmet didn't get a great block on that wham. Just maybe stay on your feet, Cole, and block him head up, and you got a bit better chance. But apart from that, up front, initially, this side of the line, not too bad a job. We're calling that good because it was a good block there, and it was a decent block here. So that's why it's in the good category. Another well-blocked play, so it's in good category. Another motion, but this time the motion's actually going before we're snapping the ball, so there is that. Not too bad a snap. If you're going to snap it to a right-handed quarterback, if it's going to be anywhere and miss, the chest and just under the head. To the right and the shoulder is not too bad. In terms of protection, obviously we're one-on-one with guard and tackle on the right hand side. Gets a long arm from Enigbari. Darnell Wright recovers well, but what I love here is whilst he's got that long arm in at the moment, watch what Darnell Wright does with his right hand. Doesn't just sit and wait for it. Chops it down, gets into his body, and then gets into drive, pushes him over the back. So we've got that doubled up front, pretty good. That's pretty good from Cody Whitehair. That's a decent job there by Braxton Jones. It is actually like almost like a release screen. So then we've got the two guys going up front. So they've blocked it up pretty well. 1, 2, release, go. Two big boys getting out. It is a screen after all. Pretty good job so far. Out in front, Lucas Patrick going hunting downfield. Nate Davis going hunting downfield. If we get these blocks, we're looking pretty good. We do get that block. And Nate Davis does get on his guy. Kenny Clark, fantastic effort from the big man. But he's never going to catch Herbert from there. Darnell Mooney as well with the downfield block. He's actually behind his man, but he just gets his hand in front, stays on him, stays sticky. So this is definitely in the good category. If you're going to do it, and I don't particularly like relying upon screens, that's the way to do it. Good stuff up front. Can't be bothered to talk about formation anymore because everything was gun and detached. Everything had a motion late. But at least we see it go across. Well, what have we got up front in terms of protection? Well, quite clearly, you know, big on this right-hand side. We get no help at all from the tight end by design. But we got big on big there, and we've got potentially, you know, 5 versus 5. So everyone said that they didn't rush. They did, but it's just a case of in this play, Patrick doing an okay job up front. Darnell Wright and Nate Davis, though, against Kenny Clark and Enigbari. That's a pretty good job up front. Lucas Patrick crow hopping but managing to leverage. He's stalemated at that point. That's really good stuff. And then over to the left. That's a pretty good pocket. I think you'll agree. We need more of this type of stuff. They're going to have to learn to work out these twists and stunts, though. So another one into the box of positivity. Yes, we are not technically under centre. We do have 2 tight ends attached though, so that's one thing. Let's get into it, see what we've got. In terms of overload, I mean, obviously quite clearly, you know, they're showing to that side that they're thinking we're going to run kind of this way. We move another one in, which is Claypool, which I'm not sure is going to help because I'm not sure who's going to block other than the back of Cole Kmet, it seems. What this is maybe their audition tape for Brokeback 2. I don't know. At the end of the day, what I do like, though, is this drive here. If you're talking about the positives from the game, these two guys, if there's one thing that they can do, it's move bodies. Because that is pretty good movement up front. Now, I'd like to see Herbert at the end of the day. I mean, you could... That looks like a gap, but I'm not going to blame him for the cutback too much. I would like to see him just follow that hole, because that's enough daylight, I think, for a halfback to get through. But this is great blocking in terms of moving people up front. The halfback just needs to choose when to sort of cut back and when to plant and go upfield. But at the end of the day, you know, we're making just about 4.5 yards on what is basically a simple dive. Again, I prefer it out of under centre, but it's out of gun. But good blocking up front, particularly by Nate Davis and Darnell Wright. There's actually quite a lot of tape to get through in the good box, or what I would call a good box anyway. So we're going to carry on, you know, getting through a little bit quicker, because this has already been long enough with the ugly and the bad. So this time, what we actually get is what I assume would ordinarily be a pin and pull, but because we're so detached, they leave it like that. And we're getting a double here with this guy being left completely free. I mean, obviously this could be even an RPO off the back of this, but we're actually pulling the tackle to here to wrap, which ordinarily you'd see a guard do that, but what I do like is that we're in its play action, you can see we don't get too far downfield. And again, in terms of body positions, feet, stances, pretty good job so far, pretty good job. Pretty good job. Again, I'd rather see Nate Davis back a little bit from there, but getting in and helping his centre. Justin rolls out to the right, and then Darnell Mooney comes free, throws it. I'd like to see it out in front, but at the end of the day, I'll take a completion like that on the run. Darnell gets a chance. If he slips off that tackle, he could be off to the races. So we're still in good. What's good about this one? Well, we do see an inline tight end, so that's at least a good start. We are in shotgun again. We do get a late motion again. Snap is good, so that's a good place to start. What we do see here is that they're actually sending 5, so they're quite clearly sending 5 across. So we're left singled, so it's big on big, big on big, big on big. We're going to have to detach and leave. So we're probably going to see some sort of game, and what the game that we do see is on this side, we're going to see a TE, so we're going to get a twist. Is that going to get picked up? And we're going to see people left one-on-one. Just a ball rush here. Lucas Patrick actually holding up quite well. What he does do is if it's head up, he holds that quite well. The problem is when he gets attacked from the side, he does tend to not hold up quite so well. So getting Kenny Clark and Preston Smith to the outside. And what I do like here is that they're able to... Braxton Jones is able to stay wide enough and long enough to be able to come there, and then Cody Whitehair does well in sort of following it, not being too early on it, not getting caught too far inside. Nate Davis and Darnell Wright handling this stunt though is really good work. Pass off, come back to the inside. He is to the inside, so what you do then is once he gets to the inside, you just got to keep driving him that way, and that's what we see here is driving him out that way, handling that pretty well there against a defensive tackle at the end of the day, or heavy defensive end, shall we say. And that gives Justin the opportunity to get upfield, do a bit of Justin stuff, and get a positive outcome from a breakdown in terms of pass routes. More positives: the good old pro right formation, so pro backs, so that's a full back and a half back, tight end in line. So pro formation out of gun. Send the full back out of the backfield. Why you would send a full back out of the backfield and maybe not a half back is that's down to Luke Getsy. Let's see what we get up front. In terms of numbers, so count your numbers, do your math, etc. in terms of what the potential threats are to this side compared to this side. What we do see is, a bit of game up front here. And Nate Davis this time, Darnell Wright, wide setting but staying then on the end. It's Kenny Clark as well, I believe. Yeah, it is Kenny Clark. Darnell Wright and Nate Davis just got him in the pocket. In terms of the two that are trying to twist here, they pass that off quite well between Whitehair and Patrick. And then, Braxton Jones, Preston Smith does get into his chest with a long arm, and this is because Braxton does have a chance. He's quite upright there. At the end of the day, he is presenting his chest. People are going to take it. He does have these long arms. Why he doesn't sort of swat down and attack the hands a little bit more on these long arm stabs, which is what he's got there, I don't know. But he does manage to then reset. Yeah, Justin has to get off the spot, but he resets and anchors. Maybe 2 steps a little bit late, but apart from that, that's good pocket to work from in terms of having space to step up, turn, scan. It's good time. It's good protection, and we're able to get the ball out and get a bit of positive yardage on it. So the positive is talking about the blocking up front, not necessarily the outcome of the play, but again, here's a very, very, very late motion. The bad part of this, again, absolutely abysmal placement on the snap, because he's going wide from his position to the left. In terms of blocking up front, this is what I like to see. These two are going to be a problem if they're left to block guys, and that's a really big dude. Yeah, Darnell Wright, you talk about getting movement off the back of there. Really good stuff, and a nice sell here by Justin, because he really does freeze these two guys. What I would like to see a little bit better here, because we've done pretty well to this point. We're working position. You see how Patrick's working his body around, Whitehair's working his body around. That's where we want to get to on that block. This is to hold, I believe, someone on the outside. We've got DJ Moore doing his best efforts here. The only thing is I would like Foreman at this point, once he gets outside there... Oh, to be fair to him, he does a pretty good job there. I thought that was the one where he didn't cut upfield early enough, but at that point, the problem is really on the outside. Braxton Jones doesn't maintain his position. That's the only downfall. He just sort of loops back inside, spins on him, and again, he's a little bit upright. at that point, just get into drive and get pushing. But the blocking up front initially to this point, really, really good. Why this doesn't go up and lead there, I don't know. But the only downside is that this is sort of redundant. But blocking up front, these guys, great job. So as I said with the context to start, it's not necessarily the result, it's the blocking up front is what I'm looking at when I'm looking at good. So again, we're in shotgun. Again, we've got a tight end detached, which we saw most of the day. Better location that time on the snap. In terms of numbers, you've got a head up nose. Lucas Patrick again holds up quite well on that. What I do love is Cole Kmet gets a piece of 95. Yeah, a decent piece of him, to be fair. And then Darnell Wright obliterates him even further. And then Nate Davis comes in for the kill, which, you know, I do quite like that. What I don't like on this play, Roshan at the end of the day is doing well there, that's fine. We had a slot and a corner blitz, and we had no hot routes. So that's the bit that I didn't like. But the protection up front and that work up front initially was really good, Justin doing Justin things. And we're still getting blocking downfield from the big guys, so that's not bad at all. So we have two halfbacks on the field. We are actually under centre. I know, take a deep, sharp breath. We are under centre and we have an inline tight end. So we still got a little bit funky though. So let's not forget we did get a little bit funky. We had a halfback on the line scrimmage. So let's see what we get up front. Good double there. We're getting the game a twist on the inside. We've got a linebacker left free. Again, decent work. This is again a TE. Against the tackle and tight end this time. But I like that Cole Kmet just basically follows Braxton inside and keeps position. That's pretty good work there. Cody again under one tech. It kind of works in their favour. Lucas Patrick gets down to the second level with Nate Davis. This is good work. This is good work. This is good work. This looks pretty good to start off with. And I said I thought Foreman should have cut back on the previous one. It wasn't that one. It was this one. If he'd just gone north there at that point, I think he's off and running because he could just cut back that way. This is never going to get there. Braxton, yeah, is he getting caught on a hold there? Not really. He's got across his body. As long as he keeps going that way and he releases, he doesn't. He just basically holds position. So he's not. When I say it's not a hold, yes, he's got his arm around him, he's bracketing him, but he's not trying to break the line of the body. He's in the line of the body. You know, if he goes this way and he holds on to him, that's holding. If he's working back this way, it's not holding to have your arm one in front, one in back. It's just working the block, which he does. Single out the rookie. I'm sure Adam Rank will be happy if he ever sees this, which he probably won't. But at the end of the day, Tyler Scott, give yourself a round of applause, fella. Young lad, getting a good block there, good position, gets under the pads, keeps him upright. That's as good as you can hope for. And then he does work him a little bit. But Foreman, yeah, for all you should have cut back earlier, does a pretty good job going inside Roshan Johnson, outside of Tyler Scott, getting some pretty good yards on that run. If only we'd have done more of it. We're still on the positivity train. Isn't that a nice place to be, Bears, despite what the result was? There's emotion, shows that exchange again that we talked about earlier. In terms of protection up front, we're getting A-gap pressure. So basically A-gap pressure, you've got the one and you've got the I say three, it's like a 3-eye because he's on the shoulder of Nate Davis. So we've got to try and figure this out between these three because we're going to be left singled on the outside. And teams are going to be doing this. They're going to be attacking Lucas Patrick primarily from the sides, and we're going to see probably Bowles do an awful lot of this sort of twist type stuff. So they are going to have to get better at this, but yeah, that's pretty good. Nate Davis watches his man depart, left hand to help out Lucas Patrick. Just turn your head to the left now, Nate. Darnell Wright getting into his body, but he stops him pretty quickly. I mean, that's a pretty good anchor there. Lucas Patrick working with 95, just anchors and stops down there. Cody Whitehair coming across with the man stunting. Pretty good work. Braxton Jones, again ball rushed. Again manages to anchor at the very last second. Just enough, really. You've got to keep your shoulders lower, and you've got to use that length. You can't let people get into your body like this. You've got to be shooting at least one hand to swat that down. So as soon as he does that, you just follow it with your right hand and chop it down. And then once he does that, his head goes down and you push him into the ground. But yeah, enough for that clinic. Pretty good blocking up front, I will say there. And it was to DJ Moore, and solid first down. We need to see more of the quick pass game though, to me. I believe this was actually 2 good plays in a row, and we're not under centre. We got what you would call pistol, but with Darnell Mooney in the backfield, which is interesting. 11, but again slightly detached, but at least in line. And I think this is where we got the skinny slant here by DJ Moore, just slightly off the field. So in terms of protection, singled on that side, a double with an outside on this side. So you don't need to chase this with a wide set. You can stay here because you've got time to see this coming, because that's a tight end side. So, and that's what we do. We sit and we wait, and we're sending 5 versus 5. So that's actually a pretty good job there. Only thing is, Cody Whitehair a little bit gets caught, just a little bit dead-footed there. Once he goes to the outside of your body and he chops that hand, you got to kind of give up ground to make ground. But at the end of the day, apart from that, Lucas Patrick with the head up nose does pretty well, holds up pretty well. Nate Davis with a wide set to make game. So he basically widens to come back. He's trying to get him to chase him, to get him off balance, but he doesn't. He just sits there, patient, waits, lets him get in there, stops him dead. So that's really good work there. Cody, the only one that really got beat, but he's Kenny Clark at the end of the day. And Cody just needs to move his feet a little bit better. But good work. And then what I do like is we do see some people actually start to try and work downfield. Want to see the pile get there. We do see a bit of effort from Lucas Patrick trying to get down there and affect the pile. Nate Davis, Braxton Jones, Darnell Wright. Pretty good work. So it isn't always the result, but it is the blocking that we're talking about. We do have Tonyan and Komet here. Again, this is a bit funky having, because that to me then makes issues with eligibility, but we're zoning left by the looks of things. It is a play action. So you see in terms of play action, Darnell Wright selling it. Tonyan coming free, but again, kind of understand your leverage really here. And that's a case of, we do get out there. Komet releases his guy, goes to the ground, throws it, nice sidearm just to get the ball out in front of Komet. Komet needs to get his shoulders down at that point, which he kind of does, but not bad. And that's, again, in terms of work up front, off the start of that play action, they sold it pretty well. Good drive blocking position actually there by Nate Davis, and Darnell sort of sells it by going laterally with it. We don't get downfield, we stay where we are, reset, wall it all off. That's pretty good there. Again, not a lot of options other than Cole Komet on that pass route, but good blocking at least. So more positive plays. Let's see what we get up front in terms of blocking. So again, Nate Davis singled, Darnell Wright singled. We got a double with Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick. They've got their guys in the bag. Nate Davis got his guy in the bag. Darnell Wright got his guy in the bag. Much better work this time by Braxton Jones in terms of keeping his pad level. What I do love to see here is when he starts to get his hand up here, you see, Nate Davis does exactly what you should do and try and drive him into the ground. So you start driving him forwards at that point. Once they start getting elevated like that, you've got to drive them and try and throw them onto the floor when they're on their tiptoes like that, which he's doing a pretty good job of. That's why the ball comes out. That, to me, at the end of the day, the ball is already released at this point. If he's in contact with him and he stops him from moving, that's defensive holding or pass interference, because he's actually in contact when the ball's in flight. Why it's not called, I don't know. He does turn back, he does play the ball. But at this point, it's... Why Cole's pressing into his body there, I don't know. You don't need to. You don't need to press into him that much. You're causing a problem for yourself there. It should have been called a penalty, but at the end of the day, Cole needs to maybe understand his leverage a little bit more. What's this? A positive play going out from our own goal line? Yeah, well it is. Let's have a look at it. So again, in terms of numbers, overload is to the left in terms of linebackers and rush, and we're open to the right. So you'd expect single on the right, and we'd be expecting the protection to be called left, which we do. We get a check. Everyone's got that sorted there. We got the TE again, which we've picked it up again. So, in terms of these two guys working together, we've picked it up. Darnell, the one thing I will say is in this game, and I'm sure he's already been told about it, I'm sure he's already fixed the issue, he does need to keep his head up a little bit on some of these. But again, in terms of working him into the body, does a decent job. Nate Davis, though, on that twist and that stunt, that's really good work. So whilst he may have got a lot of screaming at him and then singling him out to be the causer of all problems on the offensive line. He really wasn't, and we see Cody getting beat late here. And again, Justin gets the ball out. Blasingame has a chance of catching that, but I don't like the route options on this. I don't like the, we've got two guys in the zone there. This isn't really what you do against zone. Yeah, if you're going to do work like an east-west and level, so if you go there and then you go there, you're working both a level here, and because they're going earlier, you're getting one go there and then you're getting one repeat. So if there is a zone defender, one of them clears this way or they clear this way. We don't get that. They're just sort of in the same zone, which again doesn't help Justin. But apart from that, the blocking up front was pretty good. Oh my god, we're under centre. Yes, we're near our own goal line, but we're under centre with a tight end. Yes, slightly detached. We do have two wide receivers in really close, bringing extra numbers into the box. But apart from that, in terms of blocking up front, we're getting a double, go down to the second, and it is meant to be a cutback. I mean, it's quite clearly meant to be a cutback because you see him, he's already looking left, so we're getting that, and we're letting Darnell Wright really here is the critical block, just staying in front of his man. Nate Davis gets a good double there to get him off, and he does get down to the second level. So again, Nate Davis got a lot of criticism, saying he's not fit and all the rest of it, and bad player. He does a pretty good job there, I think you'll agree, and Khalil Herbert doing a pretty good job there as well. So there were some positives. The Bears were actually able to get some pretty good pockets at times. Yeah, we got 6 against 5. We get a TE twist on the end, so tackle end coming in. Cole Kmet with a chip. We get a chip on the outside as well. So we've actually got sort of like 5 with chips is what you'd call it. But again, working singles here, that's excellent. In terms of working this stunt here, we've got all the bodies in place to be able to pick it up, and we do. That's really good. That's a decent pocket. That's a decent pocket. Justin give Justin time to throw, and he can throw, and he can make completions, and we do get positive results out of it. This one I enjoyed because you actually saw the offensive line working some things out for themselves with what is like a really wide twist from Preston Smith coming from out all the way over to the centre. Darnell Wright and Nate Davis sorting out that. Lucas Patrick picking up really nicely, and Nate Davis coming late to help. Really good stuff. Braxton Jones one-on-one with his guy. Again, we're getting a TE. So again, working that out pretty nicely. When he does lose these long levers, it really does work to his advantage. That's Kenny Clark that he's mauling there at the end of the day. Cody Whitehead doing well up front. Lucas Patrick managing to settle against Rajan Gary, who is a strong dude at the end of the day. That's good work, and we get a bit of punishment on him at the end of the day with Nate Davis. Owning Croots likes Darnell Wright. I like Darnell Wright as well. We've got a head-up nose. We've got a 3-eye on the left-hand side. And we've got a pulling Darnell Wright with Nate Davis with the trap on the outside. So that's the trap, pulling Darnell Wright. So he gets into his body, affects him getting the right way. All you can do there, really, because it's so wide, is to drive him this way to give time for Roshan to be able to cut back behind pulling Darnell Wright. Pulling Darnell Wright comes in and absolutely crushes the outside man. And we've got a decent blocking on the inside. Roshan, give him a chance to run. He does. Good stuff. Not only is it good, I'm going to say that this is actually quite excellent work up front by the Bears. Motion across. In terms of protection, we've got a head up nose, and we've got 2 5-eyes, I think you'd probably call it. Leaving one-on-one Nate Davis. Let's see how Nate Davis does one-on-one and one-on-one with Rashawn Gary over here. Let's see how these two do. Pretty good punch there by Nate Davis and reset with the feet. Good body position. Great body angle by both of these guys. That really is picture perfect stuff. In terms of on the backside, what do we do? Cody in pretty decent position. Jump set there to reset and get his body down, get his ass down, his shoulders up. Gets the body up of the players there. This is a really good, that's exactly what we want to see all the way forward. Great stuff offensive line, call it where it is. That's really good pass protection and good stuff results. So this one would be a bit of a chuckler in the old offensive line room afterwards, I'm sure, because whilst it is actually good stuff up front on this run with Roshan Johnson, so we get that sort of slant down with a pulling guard here. So we're just basically pinching down. That's all we want to see, is big on big. Nate Davis is going to wrap and pull. Quaid gets a bit of a surprise on him here. He plays it really well. He just kind of crosses up feet, and if you notice, the reason why he goes down, which is, I'm going to excuse him, is Cole Komet just gets caught a little bit far inside, Preston Smith working him a little bit. He just catches Nate's left foot there, which is what makes him go down, but it does look like he's got absolutely crumpled there. What I do love is the run by Roshan Johnson once he gets through that gap. Absolutely steamrolls the safety. This might have been the biggest indicator of growth for Justin Fields that we saw all day, and in terms of calling it up, it's really good. We see the again. You talk about the exchange, you talk about the roll down, roll back from the safeties, and then we see Kenny Clark calling back across. So quite clearly they're trying to run some sort of overload, you would think, from this side. So Justin's got to sort this out, and you see him. He's just checking it across, and now he's going to call some protection. So he just calls them back, and now we're seeing an adjustment. So hand signal adjustment. So we've called some protection there. Let's see what they do. Nate Davis doesn't follow him across. We see them wait and be patient, We're holding the tight end in. Roshan's going to come and check this way as well. In terms of the numbers, though, what we do see is Darnell doesn't get caught with his eyes. He's seeing this coming. Nate's seeing it coming. We're going to get a block there, and we're going to get a block there. In terms of dialing it up, in terms of protection, really good stuff by Justin Fields to call it across. Roshan coming over to help as well, just in case he needs to. Does get hands in bodies. Nate Davis, as he works him inside, is able to then get into a drive position there and work him. You see that? Gets a drive position there. Drives him. Darnell Wright's got his guy on the deck here. He's a smurf at the end of the day, but we do like to see the offensive lineman, jump setting Cody Whitehair like years of old. Holding up pretty well up front. Great stuff. Touchdown Bears. Fantastic stuff by Fields as well to call up protection, that kill. So we'll end it up with this one late in the game. Positive note for the rookie. I think this is a touchdown, but we see singled up again in terms of here. Looking left, but with a hand onto the right. So in terms of protection, pretty good stuff there. Nate Davis working his guy. This is towards the end of the game, let's not forget. Everyone said that he wore down, he was gassing, and he wasn't able to hold up, and he wasn't able to block. Again, that's pretty good work there. Able to throw it to Roshan. Now, how he gets called out of bounds at the 4 here, I still don't know, because at the end of the day, this looks... Let's see if I can zoom in. Can I zoom in? Can I pinch zoom? No, I'm not able to. Unfortunately, I'm not able to zoom in. But I'm gonna just ask you to look to see if his right foot goes out of bounds here, because quite clearly that's not out of bounds there. His left foot comes down here. Is his left foot out of bounds? Because that's what they call, and I can see daylight there between his foot and the sideline. Cuts back in, and he's in the end zone. But he was called out of the 4 as if his left foot went out of bounds. But to me, no chance. And certainly in terms of could the linesman see that foot out of bounds, that left foot out of bounds, I would suggest his view is probably impaired at that point, and he wouldn't be able to see it. This judge here, I would say this one's probably got a better view as to whether it's out of bounds. This is the one that called him out of the 4. Anyway, some positives. I think there's some stuff to work on. Yes, we need to fix a lot of these twists and particularly stunt pickups. The play calling has to change. We can't be this much out of gun, detached tight end. We need to get a more basic offense to actually get it running. And when I say running, run the ball and behind Nate Davis and Darnell Wright. With that, comment which bit you liked, which things you agree with, which things you don't. Put the timestamps in there for other people to have a look at it. With that, this is Bearlissimo saying bear down, stay positive, help someone if you can, and stay a true believer of the Bears. I'll see you in the next one.
Anyway, ciao.